I just bought at the comic shop the first issue of Doomsday Clock.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we can talk about maybe after we finish like synopsizing the story, we can talk about maybe if there's any connections or just our thoughts and stuff like that. But yeah, in Doomsday Clock, it's basically a continuation, at least the first issue is, of the graphic novel story Watchmen, which I'm a big fan of. Watchmen personally is my favorite comic book story, and so it starts out with a character called Rorschach giving narration in a journal. Although it's a little bit confusing because at one point he's it's like that. It's a callback to when he narrated in the original Watchmen.
Except
stories.
it wasn't narration; it was reading.
Yeah,
It was all supposed to be in his journal.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting to, is that there's a point in which he says, I never write anything down. It's kind of weird, like, is he writing this down, or does it just look like
Or is it somebody else who wrote it down? Like,
Maybe.
witnessed it?
Witness his thoughts?
I'm sure there's someone who can do that.
It's supposed to be an internal monologue.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Probably wrote it down.
Probably doesn't remember he wrote it down.
Yeah, honestly, he's a very unreliable narrator.
And that is like a literary device that you can use.
Yep,
you're right.
Comics are literature. Anyway, so yeah, there's basically at the end of Watchmen, the world's smartest man, basically in order to not have nuclear destruction, decides to trick the world into thinking that there's an alien invasion happening, and kills a bunch of people by teleporting a giant alien-looking creature that was really just genetically manipulated animal from Earth.
Squid, I believe.
Yeah. It was a squid that was made to be giant and potentially genetically mixed with something else.
So this guy's name is the world's smartest man?
Or his name is Ozymandias.
But it's hard to say.
So he's not the thinker.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's still dumb.
Yeah. No. There's no characters from the DC universe that match up with the Watchmen universe. Although there are very similar characters.
Okay.
Which, if we ever do an episode about Watchmen, which we probably will, I'll get into that, but not today.
I'd have to reread that because I think there's like a weird thing in Kingdom Come, which is a DC story, and in Watchmen, I think there's Batman in a bar somewhere in not Rorschach, in Watchmen, and in Kingdom Come you can definitely see Rorschach in the villain's bar.
Oh, really? Interesting. I've never, but anyway, yeah.
Not important.
Not important. Anyway, so yeah, at the end, so basically, America and Russia didn't kill the world with nuclear bombs.
Because aliens.
Yeah, Ozymandias tricks everybody into thinking that aliens are attacking, and so the world unifies to protect the Earth from aliens.
It's like Independence Day.
Nice.
Yeah, okay. And so, and then for a couple of years, the world is really great, Ozymandias never, gets a position of actual power, but he influences a lot of the way that the world works. And, he starts, get disarming nuclear missiles and, a bunch of, good stuff for the world. But then Rorschach, the previous journal we were talking about, that was his internal monologue, he gives that to a publication called The New Frontiersman, which at first isn't highly regarded. It's kind of like Fox News on steroids, highly conservative, and nobody trusts it. It's bit like the what is it, the National Enquirer?
Yeah. Or not the Daily Planet, but there's some like world news, like the tabloids you find at the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly.
On the rack, it's
Uh-huh.
All right.
Some of it might be potentially true, but you'd have to take it with a huge grain of salt.
Yeah, but eventually it gets traction. People believe it, and
I think they said it was like at first it came out, and then it was like actually corroborated by independent reports, and it's like, oh, okay, so what's in here is true.
yeah.
And what was in there? Like,
So Rorschach was a major part of the whole Watchmen story, and so he basically wrote down everything that actually happened.
so this has nothing to do with the missiles and banding together to stop the.
Well,
alien.
I mean, just because he knew that Adrian Veidt, who is Ozymandias,
I think.
Veidt?
Veidt.
Veidt? Okay. Anyway, not.
So he gave this story to the publishers
Like,
to spite.
mailed in the event of his death,
Yes.
Okay.
and he died
Yeah.
Okay.
pretty hard.
Yeah, Dr. Manhattan, who is the only hero in this story that actually has superpowers, like true superpowers, he obliterated Rorschach in order to...
Just like bloody puddle.
Yeah.
Okay.
In order to stop him from telling the world about the plan.
Because it was all lies,
Yeah.
and it was killing thousands of people.
Yeah, millions
The
actually.
plan
millions?
for
Yeah.
what?
The plan to make sure that the world didn't die in nuclear fire.
Okay.
Yeah, because
The fake alien invasion
Mhm.
still killed people,
Yeah.
but not as many as nuclear war would have.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
All right.
So in like Ozymandias' mind, yeah, sure, okay, do the math. Millions die, but billions live, I guess, under
Alright.
fear of alien invasion. But at least they're alive.
Yep. Okay.
Rorschach, not a fan.
How did he convince people that like aliens were invading? Like, were aliens actually invading?
No,
No.
he's this big old like giant squid with like extra eyes and tentacles and bunches of teeth.
Yeah, he created this monster.
Like he had like science fiction artists, I think, and like sculptors and painters like,
Uh-huh.
all on this island
Yeah,
to like draw up the most alien thing they could.
yeah.
And then he
Basically,
created it.
it
Mhm.
was a fake.
I mean, it was a real thing. It lived.
Briefly.
He created it with genetic engineering
And then millions of people died?
by teleporting it into the middle of New York.
So plop.
But couldn't I feel like there's a better way of like.
No, there's no better way. This is the smartest
There's
man
not.
on earth. You can't argue with it. If you put something out in deep space,
Why New York?
the nations are just going to assume.
Well, I mean, New York is like the hub.
Put it somewhere like in the middle of the United States where there's like nobody, and then like.
Nobody
that-
would believe it.
Yeah.
then.
Also,
That is true.
it's basically like 9/11. You know that like it's the thing. Like a bunch of people died, and so now we have to unify because those people died. If it's just scary in the middle of nowhere, then it's like scary thing, and let's go.
This is
attack
just
it with
a distraction.
guns.
Then it would, if they did it like the middle, it'd seem like, oh, America did this to minimize casualties, to make sure they could unify their own people, so that they could have an all-out war with Russia. Good idea, bad execution. But if you put it in the middle of New York City, where millions of people die, it's like no government could be okay with this.
Yeah.
So this was aliens.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, anyway, so the journal published in the event of
Yes.
his death,
Mm-hmm.
and people don't believe it at first, but then they start to, because it's corroborated by
Yeah,
other
yeah,
people.
and then Ozymandias goes on the run.
Because, murdered like millions of people,
Yeah.
committed genocide.
And so his plot was in the journal.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and so.
So basically, your dirty little secrets are now
Yeah.
known to
Mhm.
everybody.
And so now conflicts suddenly start to escalate. Like
Oh,
basically,
man.
As they were about to right before Watchmen ended.
yeah. Like basically, they were all like, "Oh, this guy was bad. Well, let's undo everything
Like-
that he worked
Like
to
Russia
do."
believes that America was complacent with Ozymandias' plan, which I can't remember if they were or not.
No, they weren't. They didn't know.
But Russia believes that they were, so it doesn't really matter
Mhm.
that it's true, whether or not it's true.
Yeah.
It's just that like somebody in the government who has access to nukes believes it's true.
Yeah, and so now also the U.S. government is all like, well, no more news networks. We're going to cancel all of those and make the national news networks. And so I think it's a speaker for the president goes on the air and like basically reports the news in air quotes.
They're doing the current events thing. The president's
so it's like
all
the fireside
golfing
chats.
somewhere.
I mean, yeah,
Similar, except for not the
So
president.
it's like
Yes.
the Onion fireside chats.
Well, no, not the Onion, because that's all satire.
Okay.
This is like, I mean, it's supposed to be
Yeah,
real,
it's
and
the-
maybe
it's the
some of
news.
it's real, as long as it's in
Okay.
the best interest of the U.S. government.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's still the news. It's just like their selective news.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's all like
given out by somebody
it's
that
portrayed in such a way that it's always favorable to the government.
Yeah.
set out
So,
by
like-
Mike Pence
like
instead of
Russia.
Donald Trump.
Like on
Yeah.
the Soviet Union.
Yep.
Kinda, yeah.
Where they wouldn't like show any news about like us having cars at all because
All right.
essentially.
Anyway, so yeah, that happens, and then basically everybody's worried about the United States like just being blown up, and so then all of a sudden there's Rorschach, and he's breaking somebody out of prison.
Marionette, I believe.
Marionette, which we've
Is this after he supposedly died?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We can explain that later.
Yeah. So he's breaking this character Marionette, which
I think we met in Watchmen.
I don't know if we
Or
did.
at least maybe in like one of those newspaper things where it's
Yeah,
like,
if
the
it-
heroes defeat whatever.
If we have any Watchmen experts, you can go ahead and call in.
For the next like 5 minutes.
5782. Yeah, we
We'll probably get calls.
but yeah, so breaks out Marionette. She only agrees to come if her husband can come too, which is the mime. And
Again, we might know.
yeah, and so then he basically kills people with like imaginary instruments. It's weird.
So air guitar.
He's in
No, not instruments like instruments like like
Instruments.
Yeah.
of
Well.
death.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
knives, guns,
Keyboard.
books.
Yeah.
And you
Anyway,
can kill somebody with a keyboard, but that's beside the
and
point.
it's revealed though that
I'm sure you can kill somebody with
Rorschach
guitar,
is a
too,
new
but-
Rorschach.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
like to prove he's not Rorschach, who is this like pale redhead
Mm-hmm.
in the first Watchmen.
He takes off his glove and
And
he's
it's-
African American.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's really not him.
Yeah.
It's somebody.
Uh-huh.
It's somebody else.
Yeah.
We
So
probably won't learn for a long time who it is,
Yeah,
but it's somebody.
then he takes them to the Night Owl's lair, and there he's working with Ozymandias, and they go on a mission to find God, which means Dr. Manhattan.
Who left once the plan was revealed in the news. He's like, yes, man, Earth complicated. I'm gonna find a universe that's less complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he finds his way into the DC Comics.
Universe, yeah, and creates the New 52.
All
and,
right.
And
Nice.
then it cuts to Superman, who has a nightmare about when he goes to prom in his high school years, and then his adoptive parents, the Kents, die.
Wow.
In a car crash.
Yeah,
Truck crash.
which still unsure if that's canon or not. If
That
they,
seems like it's a really easy thing to Google that
yeah,
we just haven't done yet.
yeah. We'll come back to it next time.
So yeah, we're coming up at the end of the hour.
Yeah, so
The walkabout.
yep, yeah, the walkabout will be coming on in just a few minutes. Well, this has been the comic panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for listening in. If you have, thanks
Yeah.
for putting up with my monologuing about Dark Knight's Metal.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page, view the comic panel, go to our YouTube, the comic panel. It's comic time, and we have an Instagram. Yep.
Yeah, listen to us Tuesdays noon to 2.
And then Thursdays we play games 2 to 5.
Yeah.
Well,
Not
maybe
last
2:30
Tuesday,
now.
or not last Thursday because that was Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody
Well,
had
yeah.
a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we should
yeah.
say that. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, even though we're like a week late.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right. Yeah.
I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Justin, and I talked into the microphone.
Yeah,
That's what you're supposed to do.
All right. We'll be back next time.
All right. See ya.